And in this game, instead of fighting crawling zombies in a labyrinth, you're fighting the wannabe X-Men and the Guardians of the Tree of Life. If your favorite Uncharted game is 2 through Lost Legacy, leave a like on the video. That should mean everybody. Uncharted 4 also has my favorite villain, Nadine. Like, she beats Nathan Drake's ass. Uncharted 1, 2, 3, 4, and Lost Legacy, all is combined, is really the reason I started playing games in the first place. Because before that, it was just like me chilling on my GameCube or PS2, maybe playing like Mario Kart, SSX 3, or Mario Strikers, Need for Speed Underground 2, which by the way, Unbound is dropping on Friday. I'm actually ready for that game to drop. Anyways, the obvious introduction to the series was Uncharted 1. The game was mid, let's be real. It's the worst Uncharted game out of all of them, which is what it is, but it's also the first, so without that one, we wouldn't have gotten 2, 3, 4, and Lost Legacy. And there was also a solid chance I would have never played this because when I was younger, maybe like 6th or 7th grade, I thought it was a horror game when I looked at the cover, so I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing that. And I was wrong, but I was also right. And if you want like a full breakdown of the stories of the games, I'm not the person to do that. But anyways, the story goes, you're Nathan Drake trying to find El Dorado with your partner Sully and a reporter you low-key kind of kidnapped, which is Elena. Long story short, you find it, you end up killing off the villains, and you end up losing El Dorado because it was cursed. But again, I'm not the one to give you the full in-depth recap of that. And as for the horror movie part, I say that because there is a part in the game where you're fighting a side villain named Eddie, and you end up teaming up with him because there are zombies crawling out of like a labyrinth area. You're underground, and just like you and him just back to back trying to shoot him down and survive. He ends up dying because who really cares? And yeah, you get out, but like, why were there crawling zombies? I didn't think that's what was gonna go down in that game at all. I had anxiety playing through that game the first time when I was younger. But despite that, I still enjoyed the game enough to play the second one, Uncharted 2. Thank God I did, because from 2 and up is when Uncharted was like way better. The first one was cool, it was mid, and like the villains, I didn't really care for any of the villains at all in the game, and parts of the game just felt really clunky and things like that, but it's still, again, good enough for me to play the second one. And the second one is a lot of people's favorites, understandably. Like, you could really say that 2 through 4 is your favorite, and you can make an argument for all of them, at least to me, because my favorite is 3, but 2 is definitely like tied with the 4th game for being my second favorite. And I think the reason I latched on to 2 a lot more than 1 was because I felt like I gave a f about the characters way more than I did in the first one. Like, I was cool with, like, you know, Nathan Drake, Sully, but I feel like they became more realistic characters in the second one than in the first. Not that they weren't in the first, but I definitely connected to the characters a lot better in the second than in the first. And also the villain, one of them at least, Flynn, genuinely wanted to beat his ass. And the new character that got introduced in the game, Chloe, she's like there for pretty much the rest of the series. And there's a part in the game where you run into Elena, the reporter from the first one, and her cameraman Jeff, RIP, because he died in a war zone that y'all were going to try to, one, find the treasure, which is the Chintamani Stone and the Tree of Life, which is in the city of Shambhala. But from Elena's perspective, she was just trying to get some, you know, actual evidence of Lazarevich, because Lazarevich, the main villain in the game, was a war criminal type of guy, had a big army, and this was also when I realized I had a habit of just only using pistols to fight the entire army, because you're literally just 1 or 2 people off an entire army in the game. It's pretty wild and unrealistic, but in the game you don't really notice. And in this game, instead of fighting crawling zombies in a labyrinth, you're fighting the wannabe X-Men and the Guardians of the Tree of Life. They drank the tree sap from the Tree of Life, which gave them like enhanced abilities. They get all messed up in the head or something, and then Lazarevich ends up drinking it too. You gotta fight him, and it's like a boss battle thing that goes on, and it's a whole mess. Again, I'm not the one to recap this, I'm just like giving off random points about it. And along with connecting with the characters more, the fact that you go from in the beginning you're robbing a museum to going through an active war zone to being up in the mountains after that war zone because you got on a train and you blow up the train, you wander through the snow, you go through a bunch of like caves up in the snow with another character Tenzin you meet. It's like a whole like list of different environments and set pieces that happen, and like, you know, stories developing the entire time. I think it all worked pretty well. It's definitely way more immersive and just enjoyable than the first game, which led me to play the third game, Uncharted 3, which is my favorite one. And if it's your favorite one, you should leave a like on the video. If it's not your favorite one, if your favorite Uncharted game is 2 through Lost Legacy, leave a like on the video. That should mean everybody. And the best part about 3 is that it was a lot more polished than 2 and 1. These are all PS3 games, so it's like, you know, it's not gonna be the greatest thing compared to games now, especially, but because it was later down the PS3 timeline, it was better with the combat. Even though Uncharted combat is never gonna be the best ever, like it's just good enough. Same thing with the climbing. I think it's called like soft climbing or safe climbing, where you can't actually fail, and it's like, it's good that it's there, but I think it's the way they all work in tandem is why it makes playing Uncharted through all the encounters is enjoyable, especially in the beginning of the game where you're just in a bar and you fight off like 20 dudes, you beat all their asses and you get out, and then, you know, story moves from there. There's a part in the game where you have a flashback to Nate. He was probably about like middle school age, maybe high school age, and it shows how you met Sully and got taken under his wing as like an apprentice kind of thing, an apprentice thief or treasure hunter or whatever you want to call them. But by the end of it, there's a large chase section where you're getting shot at by like everyone from Marlo, who is one of the villains in the game. She has like a small battalion with her. They're all chasing you down across a bunch of rooftops, and then slowly, you know, gets you out, takes you in, yada yada. And while it does have some slow sections, I think this is what made me like fuck with the characters the most out of the 3 games. The 4th, it's like I just still mess with them from the same I did in 3. It wasn't like, you know, a linear path of like relating to the characters more. It was more of like I related to them more or the most in 3, and then just kind of kept that with 4 and Lost Legacy. And since there was such a large gap from when I played, because I played 1 through 3 pretty much all at the same time, like I had all 3 of the games, so I played those all in one go, and I had to wait a long ass time for 4. So at the time, it was like the best encounters, the most creative encounters with the enemies out of the 3 games so far, and I think that's also made it pretty fun on top of it. And then 4 is like where they just bring it all together. The game looks better because it's on PS4. It plays better. It's later in Nathan Drake's life, like he's retired from the treasure hunting life, whatever you would call it, but his not dead brother, who you thought died in a Panamanian jail, comes back to lie to you so you can lie to your wife and you can go back to treasure hunting. It's a great thing. But anyways, you're trying to find a lost pirate treasure, and my favorite parts of the game was definitely like the open exploration areas where like you have a jeep with a winch and you just go around different like towers or landmarks in, I think it's Madagascar. And because it's on PS4 and not 3, the set pieces are way bigger in this game than the other 3. Uncharted 4 also has my favorite villain, Nadine. Like she beats Nathan Drake's ass in one of the fights, which was in a like a black market auction kind of place. You're like up in the room, and then she finds you when you're not supposed to be there, and then she just ends up beating your ass. And it's tough because you're really trying to fight and you're like, damn, my ass at this game. It's like, no, it's just plot. But yeah, I have my favorite villain, best exploration, and just, you know, the graphical upgrade and the exploration. I think that's why I liked Uncharted 4 a lot. And then we get to Lost Legacy. I've only played it once, reason being I had it as a disc on PS4, and then the PS5 came out and I got a digital one, so I had to sell the disc. But ironically, I bought a CPU for my PC and they gave me a reward like through AMD's reward program, which I didn't know they had, and they gave me the Legacy of Thieves collection, which is Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy on PC for free. But yeah, what it is a spin-off game. It's you play as Chloe Fraser, one of the side characters from the first 4 games, and also Nadine Ross is like the other main character, you know, villain from the last one. She's a MC now, and then more or less just continue what Uncharted 4 did well and just kind of redirected the story to a different perspective, and I think they did well at that. It's not as long as the other games because it's not supposed to be, but it's still it's solid. It's a solid game. Like the series as a whole, I could play through it forever. I've played 2 and 3 probably like 20 times each already, and I haven't replayed them in a while. I mean, a long while. So this was all in a short amount of time when I was replaying it that much. Only story games I've really messed with since then is just the other Naughty Dog games like Last of Us and the second Last of Us, and then Deathloop more recently. Deathloop was hard. I think that game was like a little bit slept on, not completely, because, you know, it still got decent recognition, but a lot of people did not play that game, and if you haven't, you should. If you have PlayStation Plus Extra, I think it's on there. Don't quote me, but I think it is. And then the newer God of War games, the 2018 and then the most recent Ragnarok one, I'm still playing the Ragnarok. I only play games for like a few hours at a time, and the fact that I'm already at 30 hours played in that game just says a lot about how much I enjoy that. But I never played the old ones, but I just kind of looked up a recap on YouTube. I was pretty lazy about it. But if there's any story games you would recommend or that you really enjoyed, or a series, anything like that, leave it in the comment section. My reasoning for liking this series so much may not be valid, but that's okay because half of it is based in nostalgia. So if you have a problem with that, I don't care. Oh, and one last thing, there was also a movie. It was okay. I don't expect much from video game movies, so it was just fine. I thought Mark Wahlberg would have fit Nathan Drake a lot more, mostly because he kind of looks like him with the forehead. They ended up having Tom Holland, which just didn't really fit, I don't think, but the movie was good enough. The weirdest part about it was that there was no guns in it, and I guess it was like kind of marketed as a kid's movie a little bit, but it's like every Uncharted game, you are literally killing off an entire army with you and like 2 other people, so kind of just neglecting that entire side of the games when it's like the main thing you're doing was a little strange. But they focused on the treasure hunting aspect cool. It had Nathan Drake, they had Sully, they had Chloe, and probably Atlanta, but I don't really remember. The movie was forgettable if you didn't know. But anyways, that's all I gotta say. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Let me know about some story games you've enjoyed in the past in the comment section. I'll see you in the next one. And if you're used to my Apex content and you missed my tier list where I ranked everything in Apex Season 15, I'll leave it on the screen right now.